the national president of the NAACP, I just have to tell you that I'm extraordinarily pleased and honored and humbled to be here today. Today is, formally speaking, Valentine's Day. But there's a scholar by the name of Bruce Ackerman who talked about constitutional moments. Moments in our country's history, in our nation's history, where the people come together and from their values emerges legislation that has the same force in terms of values and sway as the U.S. Constitution. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was enacted in a constitutional moment out of the blood, sweat, and tears of the martyrs of the modern day civil rights movement. Today is a constitutional moment.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yes.
This Moral Monday movement is not a North Carolina phenomenon. It occurs on a social justice landscape, and it is critically important. Reverend Barber has spoken about this being a movement to resurrect, to resuscitate, to act as a defibrillator for the heart of North Carolina. We need to be clear that this Moral Monday movement in North Carolina is speaking to the heart of the nation. It is important, it is critical, it is vital to the heart of the nation. This is not a random civic or democratic occurrence. It occurs at a particular moment in time, a constitutional moment, a movement moment. It occurs in the midst of what could be, what shall be, as a consequence of our work, a third Reconstruction. Let's be clear about this. What you're doing here in North Carolina in terms of criminal justice, in terms of education reform, in terms of civic participation, in terms of public service and public accountability and government accountability, goes to the very heart of our values as a nation. We stand here today, 50 years after the Voting Rights Act, 50 years after Selma, from the Selma to Montgomery March, and 50 years after Bloody Sunday, with a nation, with a federal legislature that will, on one hand, celebrate and commemorate the bravery displayed and depicted and illustrated in the Selma movie, but they have failed to demonstrate and emulate and imitate the courage on display in the movie. And so we are at a moment where we have to ask ourselves that if Congressman John Lewis took a beating for the vote, why can't we get a vote in Congress on the right to vote to protect the right to vote? That's what this Moral Monday movement is about. And so we need to be clear here. What we do here in the state of North Carolina has to be replicated all across the country. We need to stand together. There is no North Carolina NAACP by itself. There's an NAACP that represents one voice, and that is a voice of reform for the entire country. So I stand with my brother as a brother. I stand with all of you as a South Carolinian who made his way across the border to North Carolina. And I stand here today to say about your leader. When we march 134 miles from Ferguson to Jefferson City, Missouri, Reverend Barber didn't call to ask to speak. He called me and asked how he could help. He came and he spoke and he prayed and he started us on that march. So I'm here to say to my brother that whenever you call, whenever you're in need of us, the National NAACP, we are here because you've been here for the whole of the NAACP, for the whole of the country.
Amen is in order.